Hey everyone, hope you're having a great day. You're listening to the RX Daily Dose. Today's episode is being recorded for Thursday, December 17th, and I'm your host, Ian Parnagoni. We update this podcast for healthcare providers, medical professionals, and anyone who has an interest in drug updates. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on all your favorite podcast platforms and social media, including iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and Instagram. All links can be found in the show notes below. So for today's episode, I'm going to focus on the FDA emergency use authorization for the Pfizer COVID vaccine that was approved. But there are a few other approvals to mention this week, and I'll put links below to get to the articles about them. First is naxitamab, which goes by brand name Danyelza, in combination with granulocyte macrophage colony stimulating factor for pediatric patients 1 year of age and older and adult patients with relapsed or refractory high-risk neuroblastoma in the bone or bone marrow, demonstrating a partial response, minor response, or stable disease to prior therapy. And the other approval is for berotralstat, which goes by brand name Orladeyo, for prophylaxis to prevent attacks of hereditary angioedema in adults and pediatric patients 12 years of age and older. So the one discussion point for this week, on December 11th, the FDA issued the first emergency use authorization for a vaccine for the prevention of COVID-19 caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2 in individuals 16 years of age and older. The emergency use authorization allows the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine to be distributed in the U.S. The FDA has determined that Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine has met the statutory criteria for issuance of an EUA. The totality of the available data provides clear evidence that Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine may be effective in preventing COVID-19. The data also supports that the known and potential benefits outweigh the known and potential risks supporting the vaccine's use in millions of people 16 years of age and older, including healthy adults. In making this determination, the FDA can assure the public and medical community that it has conducted a thorough evaluation of the available safety, effectiveness, and manufacturing quality information provided. The Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine contains messenger RNA, which is genetic material. The vaccine contains a small piece of the SARS-CoV-2 virus's mRNA that instructs cells in the body to make the virus's distinctive spike protein. When a person receives this vaccine, their body produces copies of the spike protein, which does not cause disease, but triggers the immune system to learn to react defensively, producing an immune response against SARS-CoV-2. The Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine is administered as a series of 2 doses, 3 weeks apart. It's supplied as a frozen suspension in multiple dose vials. Each vial must be diluted with 1.8 milliliters of sterile 0.9% sodium chloride injection prior to use to form the vaccine. After dilution, each vial contains 5 doses of 0.3 milliliter per dose. The Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine does not contain preservatives and may be thawed and stored in the refrigerator for up to 5 days, or at room temperature for 30 minutes. Upon dilution, it should be stored between 2 degrees and 25 degrees Celsius and used within 6 hours from the time of dilution. The available safety data to support the EUA include 37,586 of the participants enrolled in an ongoing randomized placebo-controlled international study, the majority of whom are U.S. participants. These participants, 18,801 of whom received the vaccine and 18,785 of whom received saline placebo, were followed for a median of 2 months after receiving the second dose. The most commonly reported side effects, which typically lasted several days, were pain at the injection site, tiredness, headache, muscle pain, chills, joint pain, and fever. Of note, more people experience these side effects after the second dose than after the first dose, so it's important for vaccination providers and recipients to expect that there may be some side effects after either dose, but even more so after the second dose. It is mandatory for Pfizer and vaccination providers to report the following to the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System for Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. All vaccine administration errors, serious adverse events, cases of multi-system inflammatory syndrome, and cases of COVID-19 that result in hospitalization or death. The effectiveness data to support the EUA include an analysis of 36,523 participants in the ongoing randomized controlled trial, the majority of whom are U.S. participants, who did not have evidence of SARS-CoV-2 infection through 7 days after the second dose. Among those participants, 18,198 received the vaccine and 18,325 received placebo. The vaccine was 95% effective in preventing COVID-19 disease among these clinical trial participants, with 8 COVID-19 cases in the vaccine group and 162 in the placebo group. Of these 170 COVID-19 cases, 1 in the vaccine group and 3 in the placebo group were classified as severe. At this time, data is not available to make a determination about how long the vaccine will provide protection, nor is there evidence that the vaccine prevents transmission of SARS-CoV-2 from person to person. The issuance of an EUA is different than an FDA approval for vaccines. In determining whether to issue an EUA for a product, the FDA evaluates the available evidence and assesses any known or potential risks and any known or potential benefits, and if the benefit-risk assessment is favorable, the product is made available during the emergency. Once a manufacturer submits an EUA request for a COVID-19 vaccine to the FDA, the agency then evaluates the request and determines whether the relevant statutory criteria are met, taking into account the totality of the scientific evidence about the vaccine that's available to the FDA. The EUA also requires that fact sheets that provide important information, including dosing instructions and information about the benefits and risks of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine, be made available to vaccination providers and vaccine recipients. The company has also submitted a pharmacovigilance plan to the FDA to monitor the safety of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. The pharmacovigilance plan includes a plan to complete longer-term safety follow-up for participants enrolled in the ongoing clinical trial. The pharmacovigilance plan also includes other activities aimed at monitoring the safety profile of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine and ensuring that any safety concerns are identified and evaluated in a timely manner. The FDA also expects manufacturers whose COVID-19 vaccines are authorized under the EUA to continue their clinical trials to obtain additional safety and effectiveness information and pursue approval. The EUA will be effective until the declaration that circumstances exist justifying the authorization of the emergency use of drugs for prevention and treatment of COVID-19 is terminated, and may be revised or revoked if it is determined the EUA no longer meets the statutory criteria for issuance. And that's all I have for right now. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'll include all links in the show notes below, so please go back and check those out too. Please connect with me on any of your social media platforms and give me feedback on what you heard today. I'd love to know what you thought about the episode. And as always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. And thank you so much for tuning in. Stay safe out there, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.